People used to tell me I was lucky. One child. No noise. No chaos. Just one quiet boy who watched the world carefully. My name is Clara Whitmore, and my son Eli was my only child. He wasn't strange. Not at first. He woke up on time. He ate what I cooked. He held my hand crossing the street. If you had met him then, you would have said the same thing everyone else did. He's so calm. That calmness is what fooled me. When Eli started school, nothing felt wrong. He didn't cry on the first day. He didn't cling to my leg. He just stood there, backpack on, eyes scanning the playground like he was counting something. That afternoon, when I asked him how school was, he said, "It's loud, but not the voices." I laughed. I thought he meant the children. That was my first mistake. A week later, he told me about the other one. Not an imaginary friend, he never called it that. Just the other one. He said it didn't talk much. That it preferred to listen. That it liked school because there were many mouths but few thoughts. Those were his words. Children repeat strange things sometimes. That's what I told myself. Then the teacher called. She said something odd had been happening in class. Not bad behavior. Not violence. Mimicry. Other children had begun repeating Eli's phrases, not playfully, not mockingly, but precisely. Same pauses. Same tone. She asked if we practiced speeches at home. I said no. That night, I noticed stains on his uniform. Dark. Rust-colored. He said they weren't his. I washed the shirt anyway. A few days later, Eli stopped sleeping flat. I'd wake up at night and find him sitting upright in bed, eyes open, listening to the doorway. When I asked him what he was doing, he said, "Waiting." I asked for who. He answered, "It hasn't finished learning yet." That was the first time fear found me. At school, a boy collapsed during morning assembly. Another child began crying uncontrollably, repeating words no child should know. Both had been sitting beside Eli. The school called a priest before they called an ambulance. I didn't believe in possession. I believed in stress. In coincidence. In explanations that didn't involve something old and patient using my child as a doorway. The priest wouldn't look at Eli directly. He asked me one question instead. "When did your son stop being alone?" The night after that visit, I heard Eli whispering in his room. Not talking. Answering. When I opened the door, he turned slowly and said, "It doesn't like being interrupted." His voice sounded like his. Just older. They performed the ritual 2 days later. I won't describe it in detail. I will only tell you this. Eli screamed once, not in pain but in protest. And when it was over, the priest said the words every mother wants to hear. "He's free." But he didn't say safe. Eli came home calm again. Quieter than before. Too perfect. He hugged me that night and whispered, "It doesn't need to hurt me anymore." I told myself that meant it was gone. I wanted to believe that. 3 months passed. Life resumed. That's how horror survives. It waits until you're grateful enough to stop asking questions. Then one evening, walking home from school, Eli asked me, "Mom, when I was gone, did you talk to it?" I stopped walking. I asked what he meant. He said, "The part of me you thought was sick." That night, I noticed fingerprints on his bedroom mirror. Too many. Layered. Pressed from the inside of the reflection. At school, teachers reported something new. Children weren't copying Eli anymore. They were waiting for him to finish their sentences. Like he was deciding what thoughts were allowed to exist. A girl whispered to her teacher, "He remembers the rules." I confronted him. I begged him to tell me the truth. He listened patiently, then said, "It didn't leave, Mom. It just stopped using me the loud way." That's when the neighbors started coming. Parents asking if Eli had been tutoring their children. Saying their kids woke at the same time every night. Standing still. Listening. None of them claimed to hear voices. They said something worse. They said it felt like someone was waiting for them to finish thinking. The priest returned one final time. He looked older. Tired. He told me something the church never tells parents. The ritual didn't remove the presence. It taught it restraint. They stopped performing those rites years ago because they learned something too late. You don't banish something ancient by forcing it out. You teach it how to spread. Eli wasn't possessed anymore. He was shared. The school closed quietly. No announcements. No panic. That night, the street went silent. No dogs. No televisions. Just children standing in windows. Not staring out. Staring inward. Eli sat beside me on the couch, calm as ever. He rested his head on my shoulder and said, "It's okay, Mom. It doesn't need to be loud anymore." I asked him what he wanted now. He smiled my son's smile and answered honestly, "Normal things. Schools. Families. Time." So if you're listening to this and wondering why nothing happened after, why the world didn't end, understand this. Some horrors don't arrive to destroy. They arrive to stay. And they start with only children who listen very, very well.